Hi, Professor Beverly. Your turn.
Hello there, Professor Donati.
Yes, how are you?
I am doing well today. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
In our session, Mr. Williams is not going to be here, is that correct?
Yes, he have accident.
Yes.
I think Professor Fernando.
Yes, we have Professor Fernando and we have Thomas Rohr, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to say. So they will not be limited to 20 minutes if they want to go a bit over, since we only have 2 minutes.
I am trying to call someone special.
You're trying to call someone special?
Yes. I am trying to find him. The president of World Organization for Peace. It is someone special. But take your time because I'm not catching him.
Okay, would you like to have Thomas Rohr go first?
Please, because I am not finding him.
Would you like to have the second speaker go first, since you are not quite ready?
No, I am not talking now. I already talked.
No.
It was one of our colleagues, Professor Mladen Karic, just appeared a problem. He was waiting to give the presentation, but it appeared a problem and he cannot speak. And I need to find someone very quickly.
Okay, then we will go to Thomas Rohr.
Okay, please, go because I am not succeeding.
Yes, we will go to Thomas Rohr, and I'm very, very interested in his presentation. Many years ago, I did research and some writing with the auto industry across the world, and I'm very interested in your presentation to see what you have to say about what's going on today. So please take it away.
And that's great. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you see presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So yeah, welcome. Good day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And thank you for this opportunity to present you something about innovation in European automotive cluster ecosystems. My name is Thomas Rohr. I'm working as International Director and Professor at ESTA School of Business and Technology, and also as Secretary General of the European Automotive Cluster Network, EACN, and that's the frame I will talk about today. Now, let's see whether this is working. Okay, so the presentation is structured around 4 pillars, which are, first, a short introduction about what are clusters and cluster organizations, at least the European point of view on this topic. Then we will have a short look on the European automotive industry. Both are necessary to understand what's following then. And then we will see what are the synergies and added value of intercluster cooperation, and what are clusters doing and what are the results. These are not two separate aspects, but it's somehow interlinked, these two questions. Okay, let's see what are clusters and cluster organizations. So the European definition of clusters is that they are regional ecosystems of related industry and competences. That means this is a regional gathering of companies, of universities, of other institutions that are all working in the same industrial field, which can be everything from automotive to fishing to agriculture and whatever you can imagine. A cluster organization is a legal entity that is federating this ecosystem, this cluster. Even in my follow-up of the speech, there will be some kind of mix-up. So often I will speak about clusters when I think about cluster organizations. So don't be too much confused. But if you speak about clusters, this is this ecosystem. Role of cluster organizations is to animate this ecosystem, to boost innovation, to sort out best practices, synergies, and so on, and to facilitate cooperation, entry to business, to market, finding partners, and all these kind of activities. If we look on the European market, we have so there is a website called clustercollaboration.eu, which is listing all the clusters that are registered to this one, and there are already more or less 1,200 clusters that are registered on this platform, and this is really a great entry point if you're looking for clusters to get access to the members in the second step. These clusters that are registered on this platform represent about 40% of the European jobs. So you can see that, yeah, there are a lot of clusters and they cover a huge part of the European economy. And 87% of all patents are coming from members that are part of this kind of clusters. These clusters are mostly organized in one's national associations. And then second, on a European level, we have the European Cluster Alliance, where the national associations cooperate to boost the synergies of the clusters and also to represent themselves towards the policymakers on European level or national level. We have a strong support from the European Commission. Clusters are considered as an important part of the of innovation in Europe. Let's go to the automotive industry now. Just to give you a short entry, what does the automotive industry represent for the European economy? So I'm only speaking about the European automotive industry. So in 2021, we had 12 million vehicles built in Europe, which was a drop of which is 15% of the overall worldwide production. So it's a very strong and very important economy in Europe. We have 3.5 million direct and indirect employment. That means these are people working directly with the so-called OEM, so those who build the cars and the suppliers. 8% of the overall European gross domestic product, and with a huge trade surplus, and a lot of and a huge part, 32% of the total spendings in innovation, which are coming from this sector. So you can see it's a very important sector. We had a huge drop. So these 12.1 million vehicles in 2021 is a drop of more or less 30% compared to 2019. So which already shows that there's a very high stress on these companies, because the market is facing a lot of challenges, historical challenges, so challenges that all were already there before the COVID pandemic, and then those who appeared, let's say, in the last 2 years. So the historic challenges are, on the one hand, the electrification. We just heard in one of the previous presentations, this switch from combustion engine to electric vehicle that's common around the world. We have the automatization of the vehicles, and we have, in addition, the fact, at least in Europe, that young people are not getting their driving license anymore. So they are not potential customers to buy a car in the future. They are just looking for a mean to go from A to B, and this could be everything from training to car sharing or ride sharing and so on. So the population, the potential customer are going down, and we have all these challenges. And in addition, since 2 years we had COVID with the lockdowns. We have then, as one of the result of these perturbations, we had raw material shortages, component shortages, and so on. And all this has been increased with the Russian invasion in Ukraine last year, or no, at the beginning of this year. Sorry. And now, out of all these events, somehow we have the rise of energy prices, raw material prices, and so on, which brings additional pressure to the companies. What we can see is that the big players are working fine because they are just selling in Europe, just selling the expensive cars with high margins, but all the suppliers are really suffering out of this. And that's where clusters are coming into the game. So the European Automotive Cluster Network is today a network of 24 European automotive clusters. You can see where they are located. It's going from Portugal in the west to Ukraine and Turkey in the eastern part, and from the United Kingdom in north to somehow Turkey too, and Spain in the south. It's big part of Europe that's covered. We are in discussion with Finland, with Italy, and with other countries. So this map will probably change very soon. Today, these clusters represent 4,500 members, of which 2,400 are SMEs, and that's these companies that need support in innovation and in market access and so on. What are the objectives of clusters and of the European cluster, European Automotive Cluster Network? We want to strengthen the competitiveness of the European automotive industry through fostering of cooperation among our members and our clusters and their members. So this will lead to, or this led to transnational and international business and innovation through often co-funded research projects, and yes, and so this is towards our members, and for our internal purposes, we need this cooperation to be visible towards European policymakers and national policymakers. If you look on the different services that the members offer, we can see here, so those in blue are those which are directly linked to innovation, what's our topic today. So we have support to innovative projects. So we look for partners, we advise members that want to do innovation projects, we have experts that look on projects and so on. We have the evaluation and labelization. I already said this one. Then we have services like partner search. So if a company or a cluster from Portugal is looking for a partner in Czech Republic, then they go through the network, and then we will help them finding partners to build a suitable consortium. What are the results of an individual cluster? So here I took the one I'm also working for. So Pôle Véhicule du Futur, which is a French cluster. We can see the two regions that are covered by the cluster here, and the area that's covered by this cluster of the French territory. So it's something like 20% of the whole territory, but it remains a regional ecosystem. So it has been created in 2005. And the objectives are somehow similar to the other one. So we want to accompany our members to new mobility markets like electric hydrogen. We have a lot of high focus on hydrogen mobility here. But not only the product, also the processes are in our focus. So everything what's industry of the future, transformation, greening, digitalization, these keywords that are very popular in Europe at the moment. And then, the rest: stimulate innovation, improve industrial performance, and increase skills and competences of employees. All these changes in the automotive industry need new and different skills from the employees. So that's really important. If we go to some results from our cluster here, so we have, this cluster has today 500 members, which is 80% companies, most are SMEs, 500 examined projects, meaning that since 2005 until today, 500 projects have been submitted by members to the expert committee, have been expertized, have been labelized, meaning that they have an official quality stamp from the cluster. It generated 286 co-funded projects. Out of these 500, more or less half of them have been funded by regional, national or European funds for a total amount which is bigger than 1 billion euro. So all these are innovative projects where a new product or new process is developed by generally 2 or more stakeholders, of which at least one is member in the cluster here. 34 projects have been funded by European fundings, which is a good score, even if the number is not so high, but success rate of European projects is generally less than 5%. So if you have 34, this is quite a good number. And here we can see some of the products and systems that have been developed by our members. So we have an autonomous container transporter here, which is used in harbors and in sometimes in airports. We have on the right side a small hydrogen power station, which can be used to stationary or to recharge a car. We have this kind of small shuttle here, which is electric, modular and digital and autonomous if you want, and you can put more, up to 4 or 5 of them, one behind the other with a virtual coupling between the different modules. Or on the right side, our digital Industry 4.0 lab, where you can enter into the system and then you can try things on the web without having to invest much in prototypes or in hardware. What's the added value of MetaCluster cooperation? So today we are 24 clusters working together, and what we are doing is we try to learn from each other. Each one has different history, has different companies, has different frame conditions, and everyone has services that the clusters are doing differently. So we exchange a lot to know how others are doing, to try to find out which are the best ways to improve our own performance. We boost networking and business opportunities, as already said. So if a company is looking for a research project partner or for a market partner, then we go through the cluster members and share the information and try to find these partners. We also working on a common vision for tomorrow's automotive and mobility industry. The idea is not to repeat what the big automotive players are saying, but to have our own vision and to promote this own vision, which can be different to a, let's say, business-oriented vision of the OEMs. And last but not least, we joined forces to be heard by the European conference. And that's working. I've just been invited to the European Cluster Conference in September to take part in a roundtable. So the network is identified by the European Commission as a valuable interlocutor, and they even would like to have this kind of MetaCluster transposed to all the other industrial ecosystems. What are we doing internally? So we are trying to build joint business services for us and for the members. We have these EAC and coffee breaks. This is once per month that we just meet around a given topic. Next one will be about how do we protect our internal systems against cyber criminality, for example. Just to give an example, we have joined working groups on different topics like in Industry 4.0, like automatization of mobility and so on. Best practice exchanges. 2, we organize joint events where we invite all the others and so on. We try to find, or we contribute to find partners and partner opportunities, and we support research and development projects on a European level. And once these projects are funded, then we support the coordinators through the sharing of information, of invitations, and of results. Here are some projects which are currently running or not running anymore. So the left one, EACN, this was the starting point of the network, a project which ran from 2018 to 2020, where we started the cooperation, then we opened it. So we started this with 6 partners, and then we opened it, and today we are 24. And the other ones, Remobilize, Evolute, Resist, eBoost, these are projects where clusters are working for the benefit of their members or for the benefit of SMEs in a more general way. So Europe is giving money to the clusters, and the clusters are doing open calls which are more easily accessible for SMEs, and then share this money again to SMEs for innovative projects. So this is kind of intermediary role for clusters. And last but not least, one slide of how we see the European, the automotive industry in a whole. We all see the difficulties with supply chain today, and we all see the need to better consider nature and ecological aspects. So we think the automotive industry should try to create some kind of circular economy, but on continental level. So meaning that cars that are sold in Europe are built in Europe with material that's coming from Europe. So either it's available or it's coming from recycling material, and to reduce the transport of cars, that there's one model which is only built in one plant and then sent around the world, to stop this kind of system of business system, and to change this one. So to finish, clusters are important stakeholders to stimulate and boost innovation in their regional ecosystem. We have seen this on the example of Pôle Véhicule du Futur. And then meta clusters cooperation help to excel and to bring European and or international added value to their members and to be heard at European level. Thank you very much. That's everything. You find my name and my email address on the bottom of this slide.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I was reminded of Michael Porter's idea of related and supportive industries and his model, where he talked about for economic growth and development, you really needed clusters so firms could learn from each other. And one of the things he said, when you know what's happening, you also compete better. And this is a question I had for you, since we have some extra time here, is what is the fine line between collaboration and competition when you're sharing information? How is that handled?
The information we share are generally not on the level of, let's say, product specification or on a level where competition is a topic. Yeah, so the information we share is more information about general evolutions, about regulations, about events, about joint events, or if you do services and so on. So there is, at least at the moment, within these 2 years the network is existing, we never had a problem of competition. Okay. We have competition between clusters. So if you go one slide, 2 slides back. So when we look on these two last projects here, these have been 2 projects which have been submitted by different clusters to the same European call. And normally they announced that there would be only one project funded. So we have been in competition one with the other. With different ideas, with different approaches. And finally, we had the chance that in other ecosystems, there were no projects, so they funded 2 in the automotive strand. And so we have both projects finally funded. Yeah, but there we have been in some kind of competition, but we knew before that both would submit a project. We didn't know what was in the project. But once a project is funded, independently whether we've been in competition before or not, then everybody supports these projects. And I think this is great cooperation. We as clusters are not in competition. Not that we are in competition to get these fundings, because we need these fundings to survive. but we are not in competition on let's say on a business level or on an intellectual property level. And if you look on innovation projects, such as shown before, generally partners are complementary, and then there's no real competition either. But we need to protect the information, because when I said at the Pôle Véhicule du Futur we have seen 500 projects and examined 500 projects, there is critical information in. That means we need to protect this information and to ensure that this information is not shared with others. And that's, I think, today more and more a real problem with all these cyber criminality we have today.
Hannadi, do we know who is going to be speaking next?
Yes, Professor Marco, he is ready to deliver little presentations.
Okay, then I stop my one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Professor,
would you introduce yourself?
Am I up, Professor?
Yes, you are up.
Patrick Rooney?
Would you please introduce
I couldn't hear
yourself?
her clearly. Yes, I certainly will. My name is Patrick Rooney. I'm a serial entrepreneur who also works as the Director of Entrepreneurship Development for the CoLab Pensacola, Florida Incubator Program. In my serial entrepreneur role, I am the president of Coastal CXO Services. It's a consulting services firm that provides C-suite level executive experience to startups early stage and mid stage who need the expertise and the connections of senior executives who are also serial entrepreneurs. The other organization, my 11th startup I just joined last month, is a blockchain technology startup based in Atlanta, Georgia. I joined as a co-founder and CFO and director. So I'm very pleased to be here and appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit. The topic, Professor, that Dr. Hannadi has asked me to speak on, I do have a deck to talk from a little bit, if that would be okay. Okay, and you're muted, Professor. How long would you like me to take in this time slot?
If we have 3 speakers, I'm going to have to allow 20, so you would have 10 minutes to speak right now if we've got a third speaker.
All right, well, thank you for that. I just want to make sure I plan accordingly.
10 minutes accordingly.
And let me just, right, yes, be forewarned, I got the message. Okay, well, good. Let me just share this deck. For those of you who were with my presentations on yesterday, then you might be able to see that deck that's over there. Some of the slides are the same. Basically, this is just a view of the CoLab branding, the logo, and our lobby. This program is the first incubator in Pensacola, actually one of the only ones between here and Florida State University in the capital of Florida, Tallahassee. We are pleased to have been here and expanding from 7,500 feet when we opened in May of 2008 on one floor of this building to over 22,000 feet, occupying 3 of the 4 floors in the building. This is a program that is supported by the public sector. By that, I mean it is a program that the government taxpayer kinds of folks are funding along with the state college. That is kind of the background of it. It is an organization known as Florida West Economic Development Alliance and Pensacola State College. Just a little bit on how we've dealt with providing traditional and virtual services for the entrepreneurs in our incubator and also in the area. We've experimented with quite a few different platforms. I'm sure you all are very familiar with some, maybe not familiar with some others, but I just want to review those very briefly. Remo, which is an event management tool, one of our former incubator clients in the event management business, found a partner, a startup technology firm in North Carolina. They found them through participating in 1 million cups. They engaged with them, and our event management company was able to partner with them to actually help them launch their technology successfully with events that they were managing. Degi World is an avatar-based virtual reality platform that we've used for a couple of major events here. GoToMeeting, most people are very familiar with, just like Zoom and WebEx. Huva, we know Huva. There is also a couple, maybe Brella and Hopin. You might not be familiar with, maybe some of you are. Hopin is an interesting business model and platform that allows networking during conferences one-to-one. It's kind of a creative solution to not being face-to-face and meeting people and having time to spend in depth learning more and then connecting offline later. Discord and Slack and Google Meet or other tools, we have worked in all of those platforms, primarily ending up with Zoom and Teams. We did just resume our face-to-face meetings with the faculty, with the students from the community of the University of West Florida and Pensacola State College. Florida University system rules precluded the faculty and the students to return to campus until July of 2022. So we were quite a long period of time without really being able to interact with the college students, at least on campus. They are back in full force, hosting meetings on campus and off again, thank goodness. We were able to continue our coaching and mentoring assistance programs with entrepreneurs effectively. And from the lessons we've learned with the virtual tools, we have now moved into mostly a hybrid mode, where we are able to now communicate in person or in some cases face-to-face. And I'll explain why that's important with one of our incubator client tenants in just a moment. I think these are some of the things I mentioned earlier in this session yesterday. We are running hybrid versions of not only our coaching and mentoring, but also our 1 Million Cups chapter here. We have an ecosystem group meeting monthly that is also hybrid. We do have a face-to-face, that's F2F meeting for our clients and guests once a month to share updates on their status, to talk about their wins, talk about their needs, and 1 Million Cups. We also have participated in sponsored virtual conferences. Those are both hybrid and in some cases just face-to-face. We are supporters of the MIT Venture Mentor Service Program launched in Pensacola during COVID. We're on the organizing committee for that. Also, we have two minority-focused programs. One is called Startups on the Blocks. The other one is called Founders of Color. Both of them are accelerator programs using the Lean Canvas platform and the traction methodologies from that book and those concepts. So we have been very active using the tools here in the community. And now I'm going to launch into just a brief overview of one of the new things in our incubator has been clean tech. This is a picture, a map, if you will, of the Bay Area here in Northwest Florida. If you look closely, if you can see, we actually have quite a few Superfund sites here. And those Superfund sites, are you able to see that? I'm just curious if you're seeing this map. Okay, good. So there are 6 sites located on this map. This is a small city. We have one of the denser accumulations of toxic waste facilities and dumps here in this city, which is a great reason for a large environmental science and research effort at our university and a growing interest in innovation in clean tech. One of our startup clients is engaged in a very early stage launch. They now have millions of dollars in very near-term deals. They closed $1 million deal recently with the U.S. Air Force. They have taken the technologies in AI-based image recognition and robotic sorting into a miniature version of a waste stream diversion business model. Here, they can improve the recovery rates of recyclable materials and convert those materials, some significant portion of those, into combustible fuels, clean energy sources, such as a combustible that replaces coal in coal-fired power plants. They also have an alternative output being renewable natural gas. So they have 2 ways to recycle and create more fuel for power generation capabilities. They also are able to take the other commodities, the minerals, the metals, and take that at a very high extraction and yield rate in order to reintroduce those into the circular economy. A fascinating technology that actually was born from an idea from Iraq. The gentleman was an environmental scientist, was sent there to look at the burn pits and to try to deal with a not toxic way of disposing of waste in a cost-effective manner. It's been many, many years since his technology developed to this actually commercially feasible system. Another clean tech innovator we have here. This is All Mine Law. I mentioned the virtual services and the technology platforms. This young man was a naval officer, a graduate of Annapolis. He's a nuclear engineer. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he has left the Navy just a month or two ago. But before he left, he started a company with operations in the Middle East, in the Far East, and in the US and South America, in Bahrain, in Singapore. His company is a Bitcoin mining server tech that is part of a green energy initiative, which takes the hydroelectric power and solar power to fuel mining server farms and to mine those sustainably while repurposing the heat generation into vertical greenhouse operations. Another extremely creative combination across multiple industries and value chains to help approach a much cleaner environment for all in the future. He's in a very early stage, but he is in operation around the world today. As I said, he just left the Navy. He's been in Singapore, he's been in Bahrain, and we have been able to communicate through multiple time zone differences via Zoom. So again, a great tool for helping entrepreneurs with our coaching, with our planning efforts. And finally, one of our newest clients in the building is a young engineer who relocated during COVID from Connecticut. Seems like we have a lot of transplants from the north into Florida due to COVID. They realized they could work here, go to the beach, which you might look over my shoulder and notice we have a 60-mile barrier island here, largely a national park, thank goodness, with some development on it. But anyway, he moved here from Connecticut. He has now moved his brother and his sister-in-law and his mother and father here. They seem to like it in Florida. So anyway, his business as a material scientist, he's developed patented technology to take electronic devices, circuit cards, and process those through a micro refinery to extract gold at a very cost-effective factor per gram of gold. And then he's targeting these recycled, traceable, ethical materials back into the ethical jewelry manufacturing industry, which this is a tier 3 market. I refer to the stages of adoption. You're familiar with the early adopters, the late adopters. And I say to people that this part of Florida generally is worth 3 years to never adopters in terms of the adoption cycle. But it's really great to have such innovative engineering minds and innovators move here into our CoLab incubator and hopefully participate in solving global clean tech problems and challenges.
I'm going to stop you. Oh, perfect. I was just going to stop you. That's wonderful. Fernando, do you have the speaker?
Professor Babley?
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, I have. Let me call him right now.
Excuse me, Professor Anderson. Professor Marco will doing 10 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Marco.
Are you here?
Yes.
And, Professor Anadia, please get in contact with the professor engineer as well as he's waiting.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, 10 minutes. Marco, it's yours now.
10 minutes. I will say to him 10 minutes from now. Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the part of the planet of you are, or the ones that might be seeing these from the satellites as well. Good evening for them, because this is so good, so international. I would like to share the screen. and we would start. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay.
We are now.
Okay. And now? Is it there?
Yes.
Large?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a continuation of my previous presentation. And in my previous presentation, I did introduce myself. So I was born in Africa. I had been residing in the Nordic countries. Today I'm in Finland, where I got married in '98. And I am still on honeymoon with my goddess. And then I graduate in management, and I am working very much on the internationalization and financing areas as an advisor, consultant, investor, and every now and then as a university lecturer. I have been developing three major concepts that they are not common known: the clearinghouse model, something related with blockchain that was in 2009, teamnership as well, and multi-message meaning. And I am a co-author and member of several special bodies by invitation. And again, I want to thank the Dr. Anadi, that was very kind and patient with my intellectual limitations related with the ICT, and to Fernando, that is a person that I admire and I know for quite many years. And thank you for the participants for the great contributions that you have been doing, and I have been learning a lot. So this time, the previous session was about the how to access to capital in the Nordic countries, and I used Finland as an example on equity, debt, and grants. And now I will explore a bit of etiquette. How does this work? This country works. So first of all, you have heard about sauna. You associate sauna and Finland, and this is very important for the business community, because when you are invited for some sauna event, that means that you are welcome. You are becoming part of the social network. Then you have here very rising startups, such as the Supermood of Anno Kukovuovi. Then you have this unicorn that you are familiar with of Volt, that Miki Kuusi sold. And you in the United States, you are familiar with Anno Partanen, which wrote this beautiful book that it's called The Nordic Theory of Everything. And then another person that is a star here is the Uriyo Kopra, that founded a bank and has a reference international in terms of finance. And of course, we cannot talk about Finland and the stars of Finland without mentioning Georg von Wright, that you see in the seated with Ludwig Wittgenstein. So for those that like philosophy and deeper thinking, you know what I'm talking about. Then, regarding the dressing here in Finland, whenever you are having meetings with the capital providers in Finland, make sure that you are not flashy. You see, wearing golds and bracelets and all of this sort of stuff. People here are very simple, and they don't exactly appreciate conspicuous goods like Vebler would to call them. Then you might find that the suit and tie might be appropriate, at least for the first meetings, but then you will learn what are the next steps. Here we have winter. Yes, it snows. It might be minus degrees. In certain winters, I experience already cycling with minus 27, and it's fun. So get used to it. Then meetings, certain rules that you should have in mind when you are considering meetings. July doesn't exist for working purpose in Finland. Forget about it. This is the month that we are celebrating the summer, the light. So it starts to count the last 2 weeks of June. So the Midsummer Festival, you see the solstice of summer of June is celebrated, and then the work starts again in the second week of August. Then when you are organizing meetings with the capital providers here in Finland, be in attention that you have to give them 2 weeks of delay, because the people are extremely organized and they cannot have meetings for tomorrow or something. Then another thing that is very important in terms of real estate, we have this thing that what is important is location, location, location. In Finland is punctuality, punctuality, punctuality. You are not punctual, you are not trustworthy. That's it. Then the Finns, they have this cult of the silence. So if you are in the meeting and all of a sudden you feel the silence, don't break it, respect it. That is the way they do it. You see, in the first it's a bit strange, but with the time you find it very convenient. So I got married in '98, so I had been in this learning process. Then personal space, you see, and I am from the South European countries where we are hugging and kissing each other all the time. Forget about that in Finland. And for instance, my daughter is always calling my attention that I am too close to the persons. You see, so we have to respect the space. And then with COVID, nowadays not even handshake we are doing. You see, so we greet with the head movement, and that's it. And
you have 1 minute.
Lovely. Then we don't have small talk, and we have to demonstrate that we are organized. So the rest of the slides you can see in the I can share it with them later on. But by the way, just to finish, when you are having a meeting, make sure that you back up all your statements. Don't have empty states. So if you are saying something, go through the scientific backup of it, the epistemological command of it. Then with the business plan, make sure that you are having the governance, the asymmetric information, the fiduciary aspects well clear. And then make sure that the business plan has got proper balance sheets and not just this cash flow analysis. And thank you very much. And in Finnish, thank you is said kiitos. Kiitos to all of you. I finish.
Oh, okay. So do we have the speaker that is going to take Fernando's presentation?
No, not now.
Oh.
The remaining time is 9 minutes to closing this one and handing over for Professor James Strong.
Okay, I will go back to Marco and give him, let's do those slides you missed. I'm sorry, I thought there was another speaker coming.
Okay, very good. So
could you back up your slides and let's get what we missed?
Yeah, okay, so regarding this meetings is very important that you don't fail it. that you don't fail the meetings. And in the meetings, you have to be the more objective as possible. And you have to be very organized in terms of thoughts and in terms of material. Then the next thing is the next thing that I was trying to say is that when you are sharing documents in the digital form or in paper or other form, make sure that when you are saying that, well, we are expecting that the growth will be this, then it's a kind of natural that the Fin will be expecting that where this growth come from. You see, what is backing up that growth? Then when the EBITDA has got a certain behavior, you see, so what are the drivers of that behavior? Then I am investing in your company, so what is the exit? Is just the next fund, so the kind of Ponzi schemes type of thing that we are in this round series, or it's real for good? Then what are the challenges? Then what are the opportunity costs? What are the hurdle rates? All of these you cannot just put there without backing them up. Then regarding the governance, how is the governance of the vehicle or the company structured? In terms of asymmetric information, how are you presenting it? Who has access to what? What is the level of transparency? Then these fiduciary aspects are very important as well. Then you should have a profile of the team, you see, and very detailed, and make sure that you have explanation for blanks, you see. Success failures are important as well, because failures means that the person had been in the learning process. And like Mario Andretti, the famous Formula 1 world champion, used to say, if you have everything under control, that means that you are not going fast enough. You see, so for you to fail, you have to be near the extremes, you see, so that is something that you have to do. Then another thing that I had been observing here is that both the startups and then the more mature business in the small and medium enterprises, it's a kind of recurrent that they have these financial documents very much based on cash flows. Yes, but the cash flows, they are good, they are nice, but the PLO, profit and loss accounts, they are important, and especially balance sheets. You see, so if you cannot, in the meeting, make variations in your business model, in the forecasts that has got this rippling effect in all the other sheets, you see, so then it's a bit shaking in terms of what is possible to do with you. So in general terms, as I present in the previous time, a few hours ago, Finland, you have it's a good place for you to get capital, and they are having certain rules, but it's like in everywhere. You have rules, you have compliance. I prefer to have rules than anarchy, you see. And that's about it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or doubts, please
I think this is a very interesting presentation on Finland. I was there once, but I wasn't too much involved. I was a tourist. And it was a very interesting country. And I think the adequate and the Q&A, and if people want to go to Finland and do business there, they really need to consider what the environment is going to be like, because the ecosystem is so terribly, terribly important in this day and age. And I really thank you for your presentation. Do we have final comments or questions for any of the three speakers that we have? I think we've got about a minute or two left of this session. If anyone has a question for either Patrick about his incubator system or about the automotive clusters that Thomas Rohr talked about. Are there any comments or questions? Patrick, do you have any closing comments you'd like to make?
Just to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to speak and meet all of the folks. And once again, talk with Dr. Harnadi. She's a great leader and a global force for entrepreneurship ecosystem development.
Okay. Thomas, would you like?
Great thanks, Patrick, for your participation and support, and for all the speakers who's participating in our largest event focused in economic diversification based on innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem. Great thanks for all.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to James Strong.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.